we have the coach here, and it's the biggest NBA series of the year, and it's that time of the year in the NBA, and it's okay to talk some X's and O's with a former coach who will hopefully never coach again. It's okay.
Okay, so he is at Seaport in New York. It's very uncomfortable. I want you to describe the scene for us in a second.
What is going on here?
All right, that is, I don't know, Dominique Foxworth just came through blowing
Yes, he
dollar
is, and
bills
he's
of-
no, $100 bills.
Wow.
$100 bills.
They're
yes.
fake $100 bills.
We're all getting rich here.
They're fake $100 bills.
They do
No.
appear to be fake, yes. Yes, they do appear to be fake.
Those are mine then.
All right, all right, hold on a second, because the radio audience doesn't understand.
Sparklers.
Doesn't understand what's going on here. We gave you your sparklers. There was Dominique Foxworth wandering around a camera shot, blowing $100
The
bills in the
radio
air.
audience doesn't understand.
That's
I don't
correct.
understand what's going on
Okay,
here.
well, do me a favor, please, cameraman. Pan back right now from Stan Van Gundy. Pan back from that ridiculous shot where he's sitting in front of a fake screen. There's no cameraman? Again, there's no cameraman?
No, there's no
Oh,
cameraman.
for the
no.
love of God.
What?
What else is happening in that? No, all the way back. Thank you.
There it is. Yes.
Live from ESPN Studios in South Beach. It's the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz.
A tribute to the champion St. Louis Blues. I believe if you're a listener of the show, you are allowed to celebrate anything that results in Boston being broken.
I don't know how they're going to be able to recover from this one.
Yeah. Tough.
Tough couple of months without a championship in that city.
Yeah.
So Stan Van Gundy is in with us today, and we will quickly shift to basketball.
Thank you.
Unless, unless anyone's heard from death metal hockey guy or surfer hockey guy far away from the mic, I'm going to move on to basketball here. I'm warning everybody, unless someone's got something to say about Gloria and the St. Louis Blues.
I just want to thank Roy publicly for telling me to take the St. Louis Blues at plus 750 about 4 months ago. I cashed in. Thank you very much, Roy.
You're welcome.
Last to first.
Yes.
Just got one solid observation from last night's amazing Game 7. Did you see Jay Bromister? He actually didn't get that goal in the first one, but he was credited with an assist. That guy does all the right things. Here's a takeaway, dude. Lots of little kids watching. Lots of little bros and brodettes out there sitting at home. You gotta turn off the microphone when they lift Lord Stanley. I'm just telling you right now, a lot of cusses. A lot of cusses.
Okay,
A lot of volunteer work, man, and that stuff affects kids. We gotta get back to traditional American values in this country.
Jordan Bennington had one of the greatest performances any goaltender in Stanley Cup history.
Stood on his head.
Oh, he
Yeah,
stood on
yeah,
his head, brother, but
yeah.
it was no Ryan Bro Riley.
The hot goal.
The Conn Smythe winner. And now, superstar. We all know his name. Household name, right, fellas? You know Ryan Bro Riley, right?
Yeah.
Tremendous playoffs he had. Tremendous.
I
This guy
think
gets it.
I think that hockey has to be the hardest sport to predict during the playoffs, harder than even baseball, because you can maybe predict that Josh Beckett or Madison Bumgarner is going to make an appearance and be dominant. How the hell do you guess who's going to be the hot goalie?
I did.
He did.
You
Yep.
you took the Blues based on goalie? That's based on goaltending.
Yeah, absolutely did. Yep.
Yeah, but Tuukka Rask was amazing all postseason. He made me Toka a few Rask. It's a big joke. And ultimately, it's a difficult sport to predict because the puck isn't exactly a ball, right? It's a tricky biscuit.
But it is round.
And they're playing on ice.
On swords, no less. Stan, do you follow any hockey at all?
I mean, I follow the scores. Yeah, that's about it. I didn't watch it, though.
Okay. So
You watched Game 7?
come on. Put it on the poll,
No,
Guillermo.
I didn't watch Game 7. I should have watched Game 7. I forgot it was on, to be quite honest.
Okay, wait a minute.
You forgot, brother.
Was anyone like me where they really went into that game and they sat down, they turned on the TV, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to watch this hockey game. And then after like 10 minutes, you just change the channel.
Well, at 2-0, 3-0, that's when you started to change the channel.
I want, because I know we're going to be talking about it. Like, I just want to watch it, but then I just, like, the guys Grocer Games is on, and it's a big week.
That was a ridiculous first period. The Bruins outshot the Blues 12-4.
Yes.
And the Blues went into the intermission leading 2-0.
I love the counterattacking style that the Blues play, but it also made for a disappointing Game 7 because they went up 2, and I was like, "There's no scoring on this defense. This game is over."
I need to rewind though, because on the in the aftermath of Game 7, best 2 words in sports. Although I think we can put this on the poll game at Batard Show. Better 2 words in sports: Game 7 or Super Bowl? Because Super Bowl is kind of like all the Game 7s put together, isn't it? So Super Bowl or Game 7. But I just want everyone to absorb that not only after the Stanley Cup final do we have Stan Van Gundy in. Stan Van Gundy has decided to channel his inner Stugotz where he's like, yeah, I follow hockey. And then it becomes, yeah, but I forgot Game 7 was on last night and I didn't watch. And so I ask you guys at Levitard Show, can you be someone who actually follows hockey if you forgot about Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final?
You think Stan's
I
alone?
said I just follow the scores. I got up this morning. I saw the score. St. Louis won. Great.
And let's keep in mind, Wednesday's a big TV night for Stan, right? That's your big night?
Yeah, but it's not now. We're out of season now. We're off season for the Chicago.
Well, Boston is mad at Jason Tatum because he's from St. Louis and he congratulated the Blues, and those Boston fans can be so reasonable about things.
What was he thinking?
Yeah, you can't really do that in Boston. So Stan Van Gundy, I wanted to ask you this, based on a stat here from Kirk Goldsberry. 6 players have attempted at least 50 shots in the finals. One of them has a lot better effective field goal percentage than all the others. We've watched all the games. Can you guys guess? One player. There's 6 players have attempted at least 50 shots. One has a much better effective field goal percentage than everyone else in the series. I think you guys know. Stan, you got to be my first guess because you're going to get it right, right?
I know. I don't know.
All right, I'm going to go from the bottom.
I don't know. I'm gonna say Marc Gasol, but I'm not sure on that.
Can we take guesses here? Or I'm going to go Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson is the correct answer.
Well, the game's over now.
Wow.
The game is not only over. I want to now make you guys understand that Stan gave us I don't know on Game 7 of the final, and so I shifted to his area of expertise.
And
he gave me I don't know, and he gave me I don't know again. And a really horrid start for Stan Van Gundy here on the eve of Game 7 of the NBA
I actually think it's a pretty
Finals.
normal start for me. This is pretty much how I go.
Well, look at it this way.
It's also Game 6.
Look at it this way. We gave you 6 solid minutes of hockey talk. I'm very proud of us.
I mean, you gave me
Very
6
proud.
minutes of hockey talk.
Yeah, I
don't
was
know
gonna
how
say, it
What do you
wasn't
mean? The goalie stood on his head.
Appreciate you dudes. Pound it.
Stan, we talked to Kirk Goldsberry and Tim Legler yesterday, both of whom said Toronto's simply better. And you've been saying for a while that the East is going to beat Golden State. Is there anything to suggest that the Golden State defense that hasn't been there all season, hasn't been there in this series, and is the reason that you question this team because you don't think they could just turn on the ability to play defense when they haven't been practicing that every day? You think what about their ability tonight to bring defense?
Well, I think tonight they've got a chance because I think it's, obviously they're at home, even though we've had 4 straight games now won by the visiting team. They're at home. There's going to be, it's the last game in that arena. I don't even think we can quantify what the emotion's going to be like after Durant went out and the whole thing. So I think the Warriors may be able to ride that to victory. I'd be surprised if they could get 2 in a row. And in fairness to the Warriors, I have questioned their defense, but their defense was looking a lot better in the playoffs until Durant went down. I think people think of him only as a scorer, but it's a big effect on their defense. And then Steve Kerr's forced into really tough decisions because that team, Golden State, cannot score right now on Toronto, or at least not very consistently. And so what he has to do is he's got to try to get some scoring. His next best chance is DeMarcus Cousins, and then that breaks down their defense. I mean, he's really in a tough spot right now to try to figure out how to get some balance at both ends of the floor.
I thought Game 5 obscured something because Golden State wins, and we're talking about heart of a champion. The number of threes that they made versus the number of threes that Toronto missed, and to only win by 1, to me, I thought to myself, oh, wait, they didn't get out. It's what you guys have been saying for a while, the Van Gundys. It's make or miss, and Toronto's been getting all the shots they want in the series. Golden State hasn't been.
No, that's exactly right. I have not seen a time in the 5 games, or at least not a long stretch in any game where I thought Toronto was struggling to get shots. I mean, they're getting good shots very, very consistently, and Golden State is not. I mean, Golden State's really, having to rely on the threes from Curry and Thompson, and they made a lot of them the other night, and they're going to have to 2 more games if they're going to have a chance to win this series, because without Durant, the eye test and the numbers will tell you that Toronto is the better team.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today. Want to go to this year's ESPYs? How about play in an Apex Legends Pro-Am event with 2 big names? Go to ebay.com/ESPN to donate for a chance to win. It all benefits the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Go to ebay.com/ESPN for more information and complete rules. Here's your SportsCenter update. Stanley Cup Final Game 7. The Blues defeated the Bruins 4-1 to win the team's first Stanley Cup in its 54-year history. Ryan O'Reilly was awarded the Conn Smythe Trophy. Jordan Binghamton stood on his head, stopped 32 of 33 shots. Sorry, Bingy. I owe Roy some money. Kyrie Irving has parted ways with his agent and is expected to be represented by Rock Nation. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
It is done and Stu.
This is ridiculous. It's 2 weeks in a row. No respect whatsoever. None.
I am terrified to be in this
Oh,
video.
my God. This is awful. I am a dignified NBA former fired coach who deserves, well, probably the respect that I'm getting. But nonetheless, I want to be treated with more respect. All right.
Need seats to a game? Download the Vivid Seats app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order. Don't buy just any seat. Get a Vivid seat. Father's Day isn't complete without Off My Insurance, the new Eau de Parfum, a la Progressive Insurance. I nailed that one, Roy.
Congratulations.
Head to getoffmyinsurance.com today.
Stugotz was just looking over a list because it's what he does all show, all day. He's just looking for sports lists wherever he can find them. And I ask you this, Stan, Pro Football Focus, this stuff can be hard to measure in terms of who is great at what they do. There are linebackers in the NFL who lead the league in tackles, and most people don't even know their names. We can't differentiate between the right guard who plays for these guys or the center who plays for these guys and the great one. So I ask you this question. When Pro Football Focus, which has been ahead of the game in terms of advanced football measurements, puts out a list of the top 50 players in the NFL, are you more inclined to believe that the list is accurate than you would reading, just a list by some gas bag somewhere?
No. Look, for football, I think the hardest thing is every position has such different responsibilities that you're comparing apples to oranges to try to compare, a right guard to a quarterback, a wide receiver to an inside linebacker. I mean, it's absurd, to be honest.
Well, how are they doing the definition? Absurd now, we're getting there. Okay, so Pro Football Focus, how are they doing their defining on the best players? Are they just saying do their job the best and not making value judgments about whether a quarterback is worth more than a center?
They use a database of stats, grades, and information. This list is not about how valuable players are, but how good they are, regardless of their position.
All right, now are you willing to buy on that? What do they use? Grades, information, and what else?
Stats.
Stats, I thought they did some scouting, too, or at least talked to scouts. What are you thinking there? Does it change your opinion at all, or are you not willing to move off of absurd?
Well, I still think it's absurd. I mean, I look at those lists too. I mean, I enjoy them, but I don't take them as fact.
All right, what about you guys in the other room? Do you not believe that Pro Football Focus has a better grip on who the top 10 players are in the NFL than most of the people you will listen to?
I'll give you what you need, Dan. Yes.
No,
Maybe.
the reason I say it is because it's true of me. I'm not believing it to be true of you guys. Like if Pro Football Focus tells me these are the 10 best players in the league by their position, I'm inclined not to look into it any further. Like if they say it's so, okay, I'm inclined to believe them. But let's go ahead and do the list in a second.
Well, no. Before you do, Dan, I just want to make a point here. If Baker Mayfield's in the top 10, then I believe the list because he's clearly got the goods. If he's not in the top 10, there's something wrong with the way they're doing things.
I mean, come on, Stan. I love Baker Mayfield, but top 10 is ridiculous. He's certainly got to be top 3.
Number 10, according...
Are you saying that if Pro Football Focus says that you're the 10th best player in the NFL, that's all you need to know? You're the 10th best player in the NFL, period? Because I don't like people telling me who the 10th best player in the NFL. I'll read the list, but I like to form my own list.
Okay, you can form your own list. What I'm telling you is that I don't care enough about any of this to look into it any deeper than if I trust Pro Football Focus to have as good a measurement on something subjective as there can be. But Stan, I've told you before, this job, I mean, you were running the Detroit Pistons. Like talent evaluation. I find it hard to believe sometimes that you guys have a skill, that you have a skill of being able to decide who's going to be good at basketball better than, Greg Popovich or anybody else, R.C. Buford or anybody else.
Well, no. Well, those guys have proven to be better than everybody else. I mean, they have. You just,
they've proven that they can coach them up in their culture and make them better players.
I'm going to say they've proven their talent evaluation through the draft, where they've picked guys and everything else. They've been better. I mean, they just have. But that's not what we're talking about here. This is watching guys play in the NFL and deciding who's good. I don't think that's hard to do, particularly with the top 10 guys.
I think talent evaluation can be hard to do. I think
talent evaluation is, but not on the top 10 guys.
All right, well, let's see.
At least in our league. Where it's hard is when you get beyond those guys who are clearly great. Now, you might have a difference in who's 5 and who's 6, but when you're talking the true stars in our league, 10, 15, 20 guys, I mean, you're not going to get those wrong. It's not like somebody's going to be wrong because, wow, I really thought Kawhi Leonard could play based on what I've seen. No, he's really not that good. That's not going to happen. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. I mean, come on. We can all, I mean, you don't need any great expertise. Now, where you needed the expertise is when you picked those guys in the draft. Those were great moves by the Warriors on Curry and Thompson. But now, to figure out those guys can play does not require expertise by anybody.
Number 10, Pro Football Focus says is
Julio Jones.
Number 9.
The Waffle House is always open. Number 9, DeAndre Hopkins. Nuke.
Number 8.
Khalil Mack. Mack Attack.
Number 7.
Luke Kuechly. Luke. Patrick Mahomes.
Number 5.
Drew Brees.
Number 4.
Fletcher Cox.
Number 3.
Bobby Wagner. What?
Number 2.
A guy Dan thought was finished a decade ago. Tom Brady. TB12.
And the number 1 best player in the universe, according to ProFootballFocus.com at football, is
Aaron Donald.
That's not the right Aaron. What the hell kind of bogus list is this?
Beep, beep, beep. Here comes the money truck.
We got to get to Stan's thoughts on Richard Paul, Nick Nurse's timeout. Kevin Durant's injury.
You know, Stan thought it was a good timeout.
We did hockey and football. What's the predicted thing that Stan's going to say on the timeout? What's the predicted thing? Let's go around the room.
He's going to back up Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse, just back up Nick Nurse.
For sure.
Yeah,
He
he's gonna
knows
back
his
him.
team.
He's going to talk about the new role, too.
All right, we'll see what he has to say about that coming up next. Blink, if you're going on a trip this weekend or ever, you need the Blink cameras to make sure that you are safe while you are away. Your home is safe. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, 2 questions that'll predict the perfect Father's Day gift. First question, is Dad a gadget guy? Second question, does Dad worry about home security? Yes? Well, then Blink security cameras are a Dad's Day no-brainer. Blink motion-activated cameras are wire-free, set up in minutes, and run on 2 lithium batteries that last up to 2 years. And Blink indoor cameras and systems are 20% off through Father's Day. Go to blinkprotect.com/Dan, blinkprotect.com/Dan. Blink cameras are also available on Amazon and at Best Buy.
I love the Dan Le Batard Show on
Stat of the day. Give me the short open, Guillermo, please.
Start of the day. It is the start of the day.
Guillermo, you are pretend confident, but I just saw you very stiffly dancing to the stat of the day music, and you were doing it kind of scared, and you were stiff and scared because there are buttons to push in Mike's absence. Why are you scared of everything back there?
The world's a scary place, Dan. You're so right, though. He just goes to the dancing.
All you trekkies and TV addicts, don't mean to this, don't mean to bring static. All you Klingons in your grandma's house, grab your backstreet friend, they get loud, blowing doors off.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. The Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by new Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline, now with 4 levels of defense against gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Stanley Cup Final Game 7. Blues defeated the Bruins 4-1 to win the team's first Stanley Cup title in 54-year history. Ryan O'Reilly was awarded the Conn Smythe Trophy. Jordan Binnington stopped 32 of 33 shots. He was amazing. Kyrie Irving has parted ways with his agent and is expected to be represented by Rock Nation. And finally, 2 giraffes living at a Florida wildlife park were fatally struck by lightning during a severe thunderstorm. Lion Country Safari in South Florida said it was deeply saddened by the sudden deaths of Lily and Gianni, officials said Tuesday. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Let's spin the wheel of Stan Van Gundy issues. Here is what is on the wheel. It is Nick Nurse's timeout. It is Rich Paul's power. It is a Steve Kerr quote on Kevin Durant. And also, it is Megan Rapinoe not singing the national anthem. We spent a lot of time talking about whether they ran up the score or not
enough.
Or whether they celebrated too much. We skipped right past the Megan Rapinoe sitting out the anthem.
She used to kneel, so this is an evolution on her stance.
Yep. Let's go ahead and spin the wheel. The Nick Nurse timeout.
Wow.
So let's see if we've got this right. Up 6, he's got the ball. Everything in the game changed after that. The Warriors said they were tired as well, and they were grateful for the timeout. Your thoughts were what of what Nick Nurse decided to do there?
I was surprised by it when I saw it. Before I get into what I thought about it, though, I mean, let me just explain, I think, what Nick Nurse was doing. Number one, he said he thought his guys were tired. And number two, I think he's thinking, hey, I'm going to set something up here because if I get us a bucket right here, then we're going to be in great shape. And let's acknowledge that when we go to these things, we're always going by the result.
Enough qualifiers, Stan. Enough qualifiers. Just shock us.
But
shock us
this
with
is
the
a big
opinion.
one. Because we always, and I want to bring this up in another case here in a minute, too. So
all right,
I'm
just
gonna
hold
set
on
the
for a second,
stage.
though, if you don't mind. Guys, is he headed toward saying something that goes against everything you predicted?
I mean, the qualifiers.
The qualifiers
give me
suggest,
hope.
yes, they give me hope, too. All right,
He's going to shock us.
I
Yes.
think he might shock us. Go ahead, Stan.
But we always go by the result. And we have to understand that because if, let's say that he doesn't call timeout, and then they falter down the stretch, and players are saying afterwards, man, we were exhausted. Everybody's going to say, God, he had an extra timeout right there. Why didn't he use it? So this idea that we're being really objective and not going by the results is BS. So it's always
hold on
by
just
the results.
real quick, Stan, and I'm sorry I keep interrupting you. I'm very sorry about this, but are we still on the qualifier, or have you begun to answer the question yet?
Yeah,
We're about
but
to turn the
here's
corner
thing.
right now. Yeah, we're about to turn
Look, all those things can go either way. There's a lot of decisions you make. I don't think it cost them the game. I was surprised by it because they had great momentum, and normally you just want to carry that forward and not let the other team regroup at that point. So I was surprised by it. But there's a lot of people that, hate the idea of losing a timeout. That was something that never really bothered me. I mean, if things were going well, I didn't feel the need to take a timeout just to take it. But some people don't want to use that. And you've got the people on your bench saying, hey, we're going to lose one under 3. And so you almost instinctively call a timeout. But yeah, I thought it was a curious decision with the way the game was going at that point.
This is crazy.
What happened?
I can't believe what
God.
just happened there. There were a lot of qualifiers, and it took us forever to get there.
Can you ask him again?
I think he just said.
Did it happen?
It was a curious decision.
God! He ripped the coach! He ripped the coach! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Someone's down!
I don't think that qualifies as ripping.
It was
a
the
coach.
wrong decision? Was
I
it
didn't
the
say that.
wrong decision?
I didn't say that.
Would you please say it? Was it the wrong
didn't.
decision?
I said it was a curious decision because normally at that point, everything's going your way. You're not going to give the other team a chance to regroup, talk about things, make adjustments, change a lineup, all of that. I thought it was a curious.
Would you have done it, Stan?
Would you have done it?
My
You have done it.
history, you never know.
Did you order the code red?
Listen, you never know for sure what you would do because every situation's different. My history is that for the most part in those situations, things are going well. We've got momentum. I'm not going to worry about losing a timeout. I'm just going to keep playing on the court. So I would say that normally I wouldn't take a timeout in that situation. But I'm sure there's times that I did where I looked out and thought my team was tired or...
Did you order the code red? Did you order the code red?
I don't think I did, no.
It doesn't really...
You don't know?
It doesn't really...
The code red.
It's a weird
who doesn't know if they order a code red? Jessup's new.
Once again, he taps out with an I don't know. I don't know if I did or not.
Oh, by the way, going back to the other I don't know, like I understand I got the Klay Thompson question wrong, but it wasn't for lack of astute observation because I just checked and the highest true shooting percentage in the finals right now is Marc Gasol, 66.8% above Klay Thompson, but he only has 42 attempps.
All right, this is thank you for that. That's good basketball information.
I just wanted to self-promote a little
No,
bit.
50 shots was a lot. It was unfair of Dan.
Well, please allow us to help promote you. Let's go ahead and fire this off to all corners of the network. Please tell Stephen A. Smith that there's an alert. Tell Chuck Solitoro. Spread it out through all ESPN sports centers. This is what Stan Van Gundy just said.
Nick Nurse
is an idiot. Yes!
Whoa!
Yes!
That was hard.
Yes!
A tad
Unbelievable.
Game away from winning a championship.
Unbelievable.
His first year on the job.
Yeah, and that's not what I said.
It is what you said.
Nick Nurse
is an idiot.
He just said it again.
You just said it. What do you mean?
You guys might have doctored that.
That's not true.
What?
Doesn't even sound remotely doctored.
Nick Nurse
is an idiot.
Oh, wow.
Break out the red panties. We are rich, baby.
Stan's like a tired fighter going back to his corner.
Yes.
I am.
When the bell,
But one day he's not going to come back in the ring, though. I mean,
he's just going over to his stool, and he's
I feel like Chuck Wepner.
He's probably thinking they're doing this bit again. This is like the 7th time they've done this. And why is it so funny to them?
Bombas. Get yourself a pair of comfortable socks from Bombas. It's easy to support Bombas. Bombas is supporting us. It can be hard to support us, so support the people who support us. Tell them, guys.
Yep, Bombas are the most comfortable socks in the history of feet, made from premium cotton. Bombas stay warm in the winter and cool in the summer, and every pair comes with a built-in blister tab, innovative arch support, stay-up technology, and a seamless toe. With many colors, patterns, lengths, and styles, Bombas look great in the gym, at the office, and out on the town. Bombers are what your feet are daydreaming about right now. They are. And for every Bombas purchase you make, Bombas donates a pair to someone in need. How cool is that? You buy the most comfortable socks in the history of socks, and Bombas donates the most comfortable socks in the history of socks to someone in need. Buy your Bombas at bombas.com/Dan today and get 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/Dan for 20% off. Bombas.com/Dan.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show.
Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get in touch with the show anytime to the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed at Le Batard Show at Stugotz790. You know it never goes out of style. Surprising a friend or loved one with a dazzling bouquet or arrangement from 1-800-Flowers.com, starting at just $29.99. To order today, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN.
Keanu Reeves is having quite the resurgence. We'll talk about that in a second. The resurgence of all resurgences is Travolta, right? Travolta was gone for 15 years, and then Tarantino knighted him, and he came back, and he became a movie star again.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah, like he was done, and Tarantino brought him back.
Yeah, he was doing Look Who's Talking movies, really just family roles, and wasn't considered a star. And he went straight to the moon with action roles, actually, after Pulp Fiction.
So Keanu Reeves, people are celebrating him for a number of different reasons. He goes on Colbert and gives a touching answer when asked about, what eternity looks like or what happens when people die. He's getting positive press for the Wick movies. He is also someone who has learned in celebrity in 2019 when he takes pictures with women, he does not touch them. There's no touching of women in pictures. But, Mike, what is it that you were telling me yesterday about just loving everything that's happening with Keanu Reeves? Because you've got a special place for Nicolas Cage in your heart. And Keanu Reeves has been dopey and sedated for a long time. And in adulthood, he seems like sort of a Buddhist professional.
Yeah, I've always really liked Keanu Reeves. He's not quite Nicolas Cage level, but after that, it's Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves. I loved Keanu Reeves' movies when I was little. Bill and Ted. Speed is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Point Break.
He's Johnny frickin' Utah, man.
Yep.
And it is so awesome to have him have... I think this is probably his second career resurgence because maybe people were sleeping on him a little bit and The Matrix happened. To have people realize that he's not just this great underrated action star and movie star, really, but he's a really kind person that's gone through a lot in his life, and he's very secretive about that.
Oh, and he says he's lonely. Says flatly that he hasn't met anyone and just lacks connection with people, which, of course, is going to bring the entire world to his doorstep.
Yeah, he's just got such an amazingly positive energy. He seems to be happy, even though he's lonely. He seems to be at peace with being Keanu Reeves, and a lot of stars aren't comfortable being that. Have you seen his Netflix movie? He's got a small role in this Netflix movie that's called Always Be My Maybe, and he plays himself in the movie. And he is freaking hilarious playing himself. I just watched the Keanu Reeves parts because I heard so much about it. He's becoming memes. He's becoming just a viral sensation in his 50s.
Uh-oh, Skeptical Billy's here.
No, you fast-forwarded through the movie just to watch Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, I didn't find the rest of the movie that interesting, and I was like, let's just fast forward to the Keanu Reeves part, because my wife had actually seen the entire movie, and she's like, you have to, at the very least, just watch the Keanu Reeves part. And after about 10 minutes, I was like, let's just go ahead and do that then.
I don't think I've ever done that with a movie. Have any of you ever done that with a movie?
Just to see a celebrity that you like? No.
Well,
He was really good
playing
in the movie.
himself.
Yeah,
playing
he was.
himself.
He was. The scene is really good that he shares with.
I love
stars.
that as the next evolution of content in this country, where you could just go to the movies and just pick the parts that you want to watch, and just sort of make everything in the world faster than it already is. I just want to watch these 17 minutes.
Mike is right, though. I mean, these are iconic films. Like, we'll look back, and it's, it's Point Break, it's Matrix, it's Speed, it's the John Wick stuff, and the Replacements. I mean,
oh, come on.
He's got.
What do you, Dan? I'm serious.
The Replacements?
Yeah.
Come on.
Replacements is
Terrible
good.
movie.
Replacements
Terrible.
is good.
Man.
Terrible
Bill and Ted
movie.
is even having a resurgence.
Bill
They're going
and
to do a
Ted?
Bill and Ted 3.
Yep.
We were having this
That's gonna be-
conversation.
that's
If you could
gonna be
take
good.
5 movies of one movie.
Is the
star to an
Replacements the one where they started singing in the prison?
island. Yeah.
That's the best part.
Oh,
you
get
were
outta
hiding
here.
behind the jukebox.
Shane Falco, man.
Yeah.
The
His
ci-
second best quarterback role.
the cigarette smoking kicker chased by bookies who, come on,
The
man.
best.
All right, Stan, you be the arbiter on this, the final arbiter on the movie The Replacements about scab football players starring the quarterback Keanu Reeves. Your thought?
Gene
I
Hackman,
thought
coach.
it was terrible.
What? What? Did you see Gene Hackman? He was a coach, Stan.
Yeah, look, that was a bad movie.
All right, put it on the poll at Batard Show. The Replacements, good movie or bad movie?
What's a good movie look like to Stan if The Replacements is a bad movie?
Well, like a good sports movie would be. There haven't been a lot of great ones. Hoosiers was certainly one. Remember the Titans? I liked. The Longest Yard, the first one, the original one. If we consider that a sports movie, I would say that.
Home of the classics, huh?
Yeah.
Mike, can you call Bomani and ask him if he's willing to come on and debate Stan Van Gundy on whether or not Hoosiers was a great movie?
For sure. I like to watch The Replacements, just imagining it's a sequel to Point Break, because I don't know if you've watched Point Break. Of course you have. But he's actually a pretty bad cop. He's just totally irresponsible as a cop. So I like to imagine that he got arrested by internal affairs and then had to go in witness protection. But remember, Johnny Utah was a quarterback for Ohio State. And in the Rose Bowl, he sustained a horrible ACL injury that saw his lower leg go into a 90-degree angle. So I like to think Shane Falco was his witness protection alias, and he finally had a second chance at glory.
It's
This
like
is a chance, almost like a Field of Dreams.
Do
in
you
a
feel
weird
like
way,
it's
yeah.
an M. Night Shyamalan situation where you realize, all these movies are tied together? That's what you think is happening there because he's a superhero?
But watch Point Break. He was the worst cop. He was the worst cop. He let Bodie go.
He really did. He had him, and he let him go.
But he was sure because he's not coming back.
How do you guys in the back row, because you guys always have the different movie tastes from us over here, you guys think of Keanu Reeves and what is it? John Wick? Matrix? Is it something else?
Replacements
Yeah,
and
Replacements, yeah.
Matrix.
Thank you.
Replacements?
Yeah,
Thank
Bill
you.
and Ted,
Great
Point Break,
movie.
The
Told you.
Replacements?
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
Speed.
Speed.
Why are you shocked by this? I mean,
Because The Replacements does not belong in the category with those other movies you were talking about.
I haven't
that's
even
according
seen
to
those
you.
other movies. Haven't
Hard-
seen one of those other movies.
You haven't seen
you're
any of
talking
them?
about. Nope.
You only
No
have
one
seen-
has.
From the
you never saw Speed?
from the
Nope.
from the
Never saw
Keanu
Speed.
Reeves.
Skip that one. Watch Speed 2,
Don't
Stan. I'm
listen to
telling
him,
you.
Stan.
Speed 2
Also,
is so much
Hardball.
better.
Hardball. Great flick.
You've invalidated your every opinion, Stan, on Keanu Reeves by saying
well, no,
that
I
the
can
only-
just tell you if I liked something or not. I mean, but I'm not claiming which movie's better because I haven't seen them.
I saw him in Keanu, the one with the cat. Remember that one?
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
There's a little cameo.
Guess what role he played?
What?
Tell me.
Played Keanu.
Hey, this is the Dan Lebatard Show.
Can you play Bomani Jones, please, getting something stuck in his throat as he welcomes back people to his radio show? Excuse me. Help me. Oh. I don't know. Hold on a second. I just don't know what is the most amazing part of that sound. The excuse me, the burp, or the help me.
It's help me.
I think it's the burp. I think it's the burp.
Here, no.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, protecting commercial vehicles and offering ways to protect small businesses from financial loss and liability. More at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Police in the Dominican Republic said that 6 suspects, including the gunman, were detained in the shooting of David Ortiz, with others being pursued. The alleged coordinator of the attack was offered 400,000 Dominican pesos, the equivalent of $7,800, to carry out the shooting. The NCAA announced that at least 6 Division I men's basketball programs will receive notices of allegations for Level 1 violations as a result of a federal investigation into corruption in the sport. And finally, Dave Chappelle is making his Broadway debut this summer for Dave Chappelle Live on Broadway. It will be a limited series of engagements running from July 9th through the 13th. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
That'd be a nice birthday gift for me right there, going up to see that show.
Man, that's going to be a difficult ticket, and that dude figured out. I thought Louis C.K. was on.
Was that you asking us for a birthday present?
It seems like
it was asking Dan, I feel like.
Yeah,
it was asking Dan. Yeah.
It seemed like you were asking us to get that for you.
Yeah, I think,
You were looking at Dan, though, right?
Why don't you use your winnings for the Blues pick?
Well, because I put it on 3 futures for the U.S. Open, all of it.
You owe me money. Oh. Are you going to try to double that?
Well, yeah, if I win money here in the U.S. Open with Xander Schauffele, the X Factor.
He owes me money.
All right, let's talk about this with
Stan
Van Gundy.
You gave me a bet. I mean, I took your advice. You're an expert.
Let's talk about this with Stan Van Gundy. Stugotz came to Roy Bellamy. You need to make a ruling on this. Just make a ruling. He came to Roy Bellamy, and he asked him in the middle of the season, give me a couple of flyers in hockey that might come in. And he said the St. Louis Blues at plus 750, which is a monster. That's you don't get to win bets like that very often. And Stugotz said he was going to repay Roy by giving him a hug. And so I ask you, Stan, what is Stugotz's obligation in the name of friendship and partnership and teamwork among adults?
Well, you think he would cut Roy in on a little bit of that, at least. I don't know how much would be appropriate, but you think he would cut Roy in a little bit on that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like it's a binding contract. I did say a hug on air. Roy gave me some advice. I asked him. He gave it to me. I mean,
if Roy felt so strongly, he could have put down money himself.
Yep. Good point.
I work in radio, Billy.
What does that mean?
That means I'm not getting paid.
We all work on radio.
Put down $10.
I'll cut you in, Roy, if Xander Schauffele wins the U.S. Open.
Oh, great. Thanks.
2 hugs.
So we've got to spin the wheel of issues here with Stan Van Gundy. The issues are as follows. Rich Paul, a Steve Kerr quote, and Megan Rapinoe deciding not to sing the national anthem. Go ahead and tell me where it lands here. Done spinning, please.
Ooh, a Steve Kerr quote.
Steve Kerr says to Chris Ballard of Sports Illustrated, quote, maybe the answer is that you become overly cautious to the point where you don't even let a guy on the floor even if he wants to come back. If this were the regular season, we would have waited another week or two. One thing I know from my personal experience, and he was talking about back surgery there, is that even though you'd like to believe that medicine is a science, we don't know everything. If we hadn't played KD and lost the series, people would have said, what the hell are you doing? You're not even going to play him, and he's healthy enough to play, cleared by doctors. You're going to get criticism one way or the other. I know that everyone has an opinion now, and Charles Barkley says we forced him to play or whatever. If we thought there was any chance of him tearing an Achilles, we wouldn't have sent him out there. We were comfortable with the process, and looking back, I'm not sure we would have done anything differently. But once you know the result, you go, damn. Can we have that one back? But you can't. So, and then the thought trailed off. Your thoughts are what there, Stan?
Well, it's just what I was saying earlier on the Nick Nurse timeout. I mean, we go by the result. And I think all of us in sports know that, and you have to be comfortable with it. I had a little bit of problem when Bob Myers originally spoke, and I think Bob Myers is great, both in his job and as a person, but, you know, where he was saying that he really didn't think anybody was to blame. And where it got me is, as a former coach, I'm saying, well, we never have any problem blaming coaches when things don't go right and the result isn't right. But all of a sudden, when you think the process is good but the result is wrong with your medical people, all of a sudden nobody deserves blame. Look, it's a results-oriented business. When coaches don't win, they get fired. And in this case, your medical people got a very, very bad result. And so I want to know from all the front office people and all the owners, is it a results-oriented business or isn't it?
Mike, that was a mic drop right there.
Wow.
Stan Van Gundy is not messing around today.
Man.
He has caught me off guard. He is spicy this morning. He diluted it with he's a great guy and everything else.
No, he is.
No, I don't,
I mean, but you came out of the gates with two I don't knows. I mean, and here you are just letting it fly, man.
You really are compensating for the original I don't knows.
All I'm going to say is 5 years ago, okay, the Warriors had no problem pointing fingers and blaming Mark Jackson. No problem doing that at all. Obviously, they didn't think the results were good enough, and they decided where the blame was going to be, and it was going to be on Mark Jackson. Well, who are you putting the blame on now when it happens with Kevin Durant? If you're truly going to be an organization that doesn't blame and the process was good and all of that, that's good, because I don't necessarily think there's anybody to blame. I just don't like the inconsistency of this, that coaches always get blamed. We're talking about Nick Nurse. Should he have called timeout or not? He's getting criticized for a timeout, but the medical people shouldn't be criticized. The front office shouldn't be criticized for your best player having an injury that's going to cost him close to a year when you decided to bring him back. That shouldn't be open to criticism. Come on.
Excellent. Just everything is excellent. I need to, unfortunately, apologize to the audience and everyone out there as a journalist on behalf of ESPN and really our failed standards around here, Stugotz, where we used to be a journalistic company where we were objective and we wouldn't, let our biases show. I need to apologize to everybody. That outburst by Stan Van Gundy is clearly fueled by a jealous rage that 5 years ago he had a choice between two jobs, and he chose the Pistons. And Steve Kerr now has that job, and now Stan Van Gundy is lashing out.
I'm not lashing out at Steve Kerr. I think, look, Steve Kerr is
the organization.
I know I'm pro-coach anyway, and Steve Kerr's at the top of that list. He's not only done a great job, I love all the stances he takes politically. He's looking out for other people. There's nobody better than Steve Kerr. And look, like I said, I don't think when I'm sitting here that anybody does deserve blame on this. That's not what I'm saying. I agree with everything Bob and Steve have said. It's just not consistent. This idea nobody deserves blame unless it's the coach is what sort of gets to me.
Stan, listen, I'm not looking, well, I'm always looking for someone to blame, but I do think that it's worth exploring, right? Like, it seems all too convenient that Kevin Durant, who hasn't played in a month, suddenly came back with the season and the blueprint on the line. He was cleared to play in that game, and it could have been the final game of their season. And I want to know who told him what, and did he get follow-ups, and when you really think about the entirety of the situation, it looked like an Achilles when he originally got injured, Stan. Like, there's some unanswered questions here that I think people would like to have answered.
Oh, there's no question about that. I said it right off the bat when he got hurt, that it looked like an Achilles problem to me. I said it the day of Game 5 on Stephen A. Smith's show that I was concerned about the Achilles. I've got the whole thing. But look, the process is one that I totally believe what they're saying, that everybody was involved. And at the end of the day, it's Kevin Durant who wanted to play. Now, I agree with the comments of Jalen Rose in particular, who talks about there being an atmosphere created where people's toughness and manhood and all of that is questioned if you don't try to come back. And we have this whole thing in sports that makes a guy like Kevin Durant go out there even when he shouldn't. I totally agree with that. But I don't think you can necessarily single out the medical people for that. I mean, yes, the system is such that there were people already questioning whether or not Kevin Durant should have been back earlier. So that certainly leads into all of that. I think that's where the problem lies. And clearly they did not see the risk correctly. I mean, no matter what you say, the process may have been right. They may be all good people and everything else with the right motives, and they're expert people. And that's the same thing that goes on in any business all the time. Great, qualified, expert people make mistakes. Look, Steve Kerr
is an idiot.
I cannot believe he said that.
Dan,
wow.
No, that's not what I said.
There's
either.
no nuance.
Chuck Wepner takes another punch. Look, Steve Kerr
is an idiot.
But just like Chuck, I'm still on my feet. Bleeding, but on my feet. Actually, I'm sitting on my butt. But
My private jet isn't going to fuel itself.
It's such a great name.
I wish more people in our audience knew who Chuck Wepner was, because Stan is absolutely being funny there, except he's referencing something
I'm
that's
too old.
so old that nobody.
Yeah,
Chuck Wepner, A, is a funny name and just took an unholy beating in boxing.
The Bayonne Bleeder.
He's 80.
But they did a movie about him. What was the name of the movie? Somebody had to have seen it.
We will get back to Chuck Wepner talk in a moment. First, though, let's tell you about Casper, because they've been taking care of mattresses for us around here, and all of us are getting better sleep. Tell them, Stugotz.
It was called Chuck.
The movie was called Chuck, yes.
The Bleeder.
It's a great reference. Unfortunately, it's a great reference for the 1980s.
That's where I come from, Dan.
Yeah. It's the middle of the night. You're tossing and turning, not sleeping, drenched, covered in sweat. It's not the AC. It's your heat-trapping mattress, so get rid of it and get a Casper. The Casper mattress combines 4 layers of pressure-relieving foams for all-night comfort, plus breathable foams are designed to keep you cool all night, all summer long. Sleep cool and comfortable every night. Get a Casper. Try yours for 100 nights with free shipping and returns. Go to Casper.com. Use code STU for $100 towards the purchase of select mattresses. That's Casper.com, code STU. Additional terms and conditions apply. See Casper.com/terms.
This is the
Feed at Levitard Show at Stugotz 790. If you missed any of our interviews, go check them out on demand in the Dan Levitard podcast, brought to you by Capital One. Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One, N.A., member FDIC. Guys, it's time for Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless.
Mike, I had not heard the opinion that Stan Van Gundy, we're always doing the clown show around Stan Van Gundy, but I had not heard, that was very strong what he had said, and I haven't heard it anywhere. I hadn't heard it considered either. And to hear it from Stan Van Gundy, of Bob Myers, who he respects and obviously likes, I thought it's a hypocrisy or an inconsistency I'd never noticed. And so I understand. I didn't think for a moment how a coach might receive him going up there and getting credit for, if you guys have to blame, go ahead and blame me. I run basketball ops, and Stan's watching that saying some version of give me a break. It makes me feel like you and Jeff were talking about this, Stan, because I'm not saying you don't have your own opinions, but I'm saying your opinions get a lot stronger when you and Jeff start talking.
Actually, on that one, no, we didn't really talk about that. I texted him my opinion on that, but that was it. I mean, we didn't really talk about it at all. I just, again, I believe everything he's saying. I just, like, let's hold it for everybody. This whole blame-free thing, like we don't like to point fingers, and not buying that.
I think you should send that sound out. I think the network would chew that up because I haven't heard that opinion expressed anywhere. But I would be remiss if I didn't address what just happened during the break, which was Stugotz just screaming at Billy, screaming the following sentence. Mike, think of what the context might be for this. Stugotz was just screaming at Billy, did I not tell you this isn't the final drop of blood? He was just screaming at him, and he was taking a victory lap on Sylvester Stallone And Billy, it was amazing to watch.
Well, Stallone has said that he is open to more first bloods if Last Blood is a hit. I mean, I told you as I was watching the preview, this is not his final drop of blood. I mean, not even close.
That's weird for him because he's usually so judicious.
So this comes from comingsoon.net, and what they're doing is they're quoting an interview that he had at Cannes. Is it Cannes or Cons?
Con.
Okay, so at Cannes last week or the week before, he said, quote, "Let me just say something about the last of anything. I thought Rocky 3 was the last, so I don't know anything. If it works out, I'll just keep going, because I enjoy it so much." Oh, there's going to be so many more Rambos.
There's going to be more blood. I mean,
He was shouting. Stugotz was shouting. Like he would bend his knees and do finger guns. Did I not tell you that this isn't the final drop of blood? Go ahead and put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Batard Show. Will Sylvester Stallone still be making Rambo movies 44 years after his death?
and Rocky movies.
Stugotz never wants there to be an end. I guess if I ask the audience, do you ever want the Sylvester Stallone thing to end? The answer is absolutely not, right?
Why would you want it to end? I mean, honestly.
I know. He's got to get around to the Demolition Man sequel, though. He's ignored that one. I mean, I'm good on Rockies now.
All right.
Creed picked up the mantle. Let's
Mhm.
get back to San Angeles.
Oh, a
And-
prequel.
a prequel
Ooh.
where he became the Demolition Man.
Right.
Bad.
You know the next Die Hard, McClane, is a prequel sequel? I've never heard of it, and I'm not looking forward to it. Half of the movie is before Die Hard, and then half of it, which is the part I'm looking forward to, is like 20 years after Die Hard, which is going to be actually Bruce Willis being McClane. But I don't need to know the origin story of McClane. I mean, how much origin do we need? He ended up in a building
That's right.
that was being hijacked. What do I need to know what he was doing
Aren't they
before
going to
that?
try and make a New York Cops type of movie? Are they going to try and have some of the patriotic Americana elements of what's going on, and are they just going to fall down a building again?
We got to find out how he met Holly Gennaro.
No, we don't need to. Nakatomi Plaza is good enough for me. We can start there, and we can just keep building on that.
But how about First Blood? Like, I'd like to see how, John J. Rambo became John J. Rambo as a baby. I would.
yes.
Basic training.
Yeah.
Yes, go back.
Yeah.
Go back.
Wow, baby Rambo.
Rambo.
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart.
Time to justify our unreasonable salaries.
Bomani Jones is going to torch Chuck Wepner and his Hoosiers opinion in the next segment. Stan Van Gundy with us. Also, we got the basketball nuggets to get to at some point in this hour. Tiso, Father's Day is Sunday. Do not forget that. You are not going to get very many more reminders of that. And if you want to handle it right now, Tiso is here to help you class up Dad. Tell him, Stugotz.
Yep, this Father's Day, gift dad at Tissot. Tissot is the official watch of the NBA, and the Tissot NBA collection offers different timepieces in all 30 teams. Plus, the newest edition, the Tissot Chrono XL NBA Collector, is made with official Spalding game ball leather. Every Tissot timepiece delivers quality performance and traditional luxury at an unbeatable price. Shop the Tissot collection at us.tissotshop.com and at select watch and jewelry stores nationwide.
Stay tuned. More than
Photographers take thousands of photographs and then go through them. You're sitting there waiting for the perfect shot.
You have one shot. Get it right. That's not what these people have. They just push a little way. Haven't you ever passed by photographers? I guarantee you when that
Hoosiers, but before we do that, we do this every week during the basketball season. Stan Van Gundy. Welcome back, Hakeem Nicks. We've missed you. Stan Van Gundy is going to give you his hot basketball nuggets in your face.
And now, time for Stan Van Gundy's top NBA nuggets on a Thursday show. Thingy.
Is there a theme this week, Stan?
Just the NBA Finals, Dan.
All right.
Wow.
I mean, he's used up most of his good stuff today on the show. He has come with fire again and again. So
Honestly, though, what is he going to say? It's actually about the Memphis Grizzlies, Dan.
So the number 3 best nugget of the week, according to Stan Van Gundy, is?
If Toronto can win tonight, they will become the first team to win 3 road games in the finals since the Lakers in 2001. But with both teams already having won 2 away games in the series, we are assured that we will have only the 3rd team in 50 years to win 2 road games but still lose the finals, the last being Phoenix 26 years ago.
Man.
Good nuggets,
He's
Dan.
dropping bombs. That's the 3rd best one. All right. The 2nd best nugget is?
The magnitude of Golden State's loss of Kevin Durant cannot be overstated. Durant is one of only 4 players to have averaged over 30 points per game in his NBA Finals career, playing over 10 games. And he has been by far the most efficient of the great scorers. The gold standard for shooting is 50-40-90. 50% from the floor, 40% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line. In 15 NBA Finals games,
Mike, hold on.
KD has shot 55, 45, and 91.
Mike, you're a disaster this segment, okay? Get your buttons in play and stop hitting the wrong thing. Thank you. And the best nugget, sorry, that was disrespectful, Stan. It was unintentional. The best nugget, according to Stan Van Gundy, is?
The Golden State Warriors' motto in the playoffs has been strength in numbers, but in reality, it is Toronto getting contributions from a lot of people. 6 Raptors are averaging double-figure scoring in the series. No team has had 6 players average double figures since the Pistons in a losing effort in 2005. The last team to have 6 guys average 10 or more points and win the finals, the LA Lakers in 1987. Golden State, on the other hand, has gotten half of their points from only 2 players. Maybe they should change their motto to strength in the Splash Brothers.
Like a Portland pilot. Nailed it.
Kevin Durant was being talked about. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson were being asked, is he a Splash Brother? Does he get company in the Splash Brothers? And the answer from both of them was no. He doesn't get to be one of the Splash Brothers, but Clay said it's because he's better than both of us, which I would be down with if I weren't Steph Curry, because I don't.
Two-time MVP.
Yeah, so Clay was saying no. Kevin Durant's the only one among us who can rise up and get a shot on anyone who's ever played in the league. He's the only one who can do that. So he's elevated a level beyond Splash Brother. But that was excellent, Stan. I salute you for how strong you've been today when you've cared to bring opinions and information.
When I've cared to?
Well, at the beginning of the show, you struggled. It was 2 I don't knows. You didn't have any opinion.
Okay.
And
You weren't ready. It's all
but
right.
it's all right. You weren't ready. You weren't prepped. But one of the things that you've brought, and there's been a lot of strong opinion from Stan Van Gundy. He said he was surprised by Nick Nurse's timeout and intimated, suggested that it might not have been what he would have done in that situation.
But you never know.
And so it's a strong opinion. And he also sideswiped Bob Myers, his good friend who he respects, with a thought that I hadn't heard before, which is, hey, if we're going to do the blame thing, let's blame everybody and smear with the same brush. Nobody gets to be blameless when the results are catastrophic. And he also had the opinion that Hoosiers was a what movie, Stan?
I thought it was one of the great sports movies.
one of the great sports movies of all time. So Bomani Jones is with us. The Right Time with Bomani Jones. New episodes twice weekly. You can listen on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts.
See,
also,
I'd rather argue with you guys because I feel like I'm on equal footing there. Bomani's too smart. This isn't fair.
Okay, well, he's going to tell you why he disagrees, I think.
I know, that's the problem. He's smarter than I am. I don't like arguing with people. I want to argue with you guys.
Right.
Shoot, you guys are
You mean
on my
me,
level.
Stan. Just say it. It's okay.
No, all of you. You're on my level. Bomani's not. This isn't fair. You brought in a ringer.
Well, we're bringing him in only because I've heard him say that he thinks that, I don't want to misrepresent him. I've heard him say that he thinks it's a little overrated. So, Bomani Jones with us now on ESPN Radio. Am I misrepresenting you?
No, you're not misrepresenting me. In fact, you're being a little more tender about it than I generally am. I hate that damn movie. I've never been able to understand why it is that everybody says they love that movie so much. And hey, everybody gets to love what they love. But when they out there in the cornfield and it sounds like the music in the background sounds like the Equalizer's about to come on, right? Like it's all them 1980s synthesizers and everything else. I'm like, hey, man, this is what they was jamming back in the 1950s. This isn't what it is at all. I look at them dudes get – you know what? This is the problem for me. This is what my problem is. I don't find nothing heartwarming about watching scrubs win. Right, like everybody else in the world, they make them feel good when they say people of lesser talent and they find their way there. Because I think a lot of people kind of look at themselves as like, I'm not a person that's that talented, but I found a way to get it done. And you know what? I don't relate to those people at all. I don't know what this I got lesser talent thing is. That's not how I live my life. I'm a 7-point favorite every time I step on the floor. I'm out here rooting for them dudes that got beat at the end that the filmmaker made seem like a bunch of monsters, when in reality they were just young African-American high school children hoping to find a way out of hopelessly racist Indiana.
Stan,
your thoughts.
No, my only, most of it, I understand where he's coming from. The only thing I'll say is from people that, were there at the time, the underdog story was just that it was a small school. That kid, Bobby Plump, was actually a really, really good player. He since has had like a leg amputated or something. I met him when I was an assistant with the
turn.
Heat.
Weird turn,
but
yeah.
just a dark turn.
No, but he was recognized as a great, great player. So he wasn't the underdog talent-wise that we're talking about. He was really, really good. Now, it was a very small school, but Gene Hackman did a great job coaching that team. Come on.
See, that's where that was going. Stan is looking at this from a different place. Stan is looking at this as a coach, right? And so as a coach, this is the great work that Gene Hackman has pulled off. I would like to do a Hoosiers remake, except in the Hoosiers remake, they go find this Jimmy Chitwood kid, and then he goes and spends the summer playing AAU and maybe goes off to Oak Hill, and then he comes back home to Hickory, and now all of a sudden he's freestyling. He got all these different shoes that he never had before. He's out here calling the coach Unc. They're like, yeah, he's like, look, Unc, I ain't got to do this no more. This is the Hoosiers that we can make. I just don't think that people need to expand their imagination. But what is amazing is that anytime I come out and say I don't really like Hoosiers, it is only a matter of time. They don't call me racial slurs, but they don't not call me racial slurs, if that makes sense. Right? It is immediate. It is a huge two Americas division. And I feel like you shouldn't have called me. You should have called the Big O. You want to find somebody that does not like Hoosiers, go call the Big O. Ask the Big O about Hoosiers, and then ask the Big O about Pete Maravich. And watch what happens.
Yeah. Look, and I'm a Big O fan, and I read his book. I mean, that guy will tell you the story of racism in Indiana, not only with basketball, but just living life. There's absolutely no question about that.
Oprah?
Bomani, any other parting thoughts here on Hoosiers that are worth exploring, just to finish off Chuck Wepner over here?
Let me think. Is there anything else on Hoosiers I can think of? Not so much. But have you ever heard Glenn? Oh, wow. I almost said something that would have been really funny but might have gotten me fired. I'm going to just get out of here right now.
All right. Very good. See you later. Good talking to you. All right. Thank you for the contribution.
All I want to do is a zoom, 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 and a boom, boom.
If Indiana had indicated to you before that they didn't like our show.
Oh, boy. Oh, man.
Like, that right there is not going to fly in Indiana. We right now are the most controversial thing happening in Indiana. Somebody took out the movie Hoosiers. Black tux, people, do not go into your next big event looking like a child. Look like a grown man in a good-looking suit from the Black Tux. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, wedding season is upon us. You're going to be doing it big and going out to all your buddies' weddings. That's where the blacktux.com comes in. The Black Tux is your one-stop shop for modern fitting suits and tuxedos at half the price of what even the budget rental companies cost. They even offer free home try-on. Stand out at your next event for the right reasons with the Black Tux. To get $20 off your purchase, visit theblacktux.com. Enter code Dan. That's theblacktux.com, code Dan, for $20 off your purchase. The Black Tux, premium rental suits and tuxedos delivered.
This is
Stan Van Gundy on the Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by DXL. If you are big or tall, DXL is the one-stop shop for clothing brands and sizes that are built to fit. DXL, big and tall, built for you at DXL.com.
So Stan Van Gundy is in with us, and the U.S. soccer star Megan Rapinoe refuses to sing the national anthem before the World Cup match, and you know that politics are making their way into sports as they always have, and Jamel Hill doesn't even work here anymore, at least in part because of the way politics makes its way into sports. And she says of Megan Rapinoe not singing during the national anthem, one, she is not paid as much as her male counterparts, despite being better and far more popular than the men's team. And two, this administration banned pride flags at U.S. embassies, which the vice president said was, quote, the right decision. Can you blame her? So, Stan Van Gundy, I know that you've had your daughter has illuminated a lot of things for you that have made you grow over the years and just sort of understanding a woman's perspective and has shaped the way that you believe in equality. I give you all of that, and what are your thoughts?
Well, look, I think Megan Rapinoe and the entire United States women's national soccer team are inspirational. I mean, they've gotten involved in these issues. They're the best in the world at what they do, and they've gotten involved in the issues and used their platform. Like you said, I mean, they've got a lawsuit now because they're not paid anywhere near equally to the men, even though they're a lot better. And there's a lot of other things going on, and Megan Rapinoe has said that Colin Kaepernick inspired her to think about all these issues of inequality. And so right now, we've got one party in our country that is actively fighting a law that would give LGBTQ plus people protections from discrimination in employment, in housing, in education. They're fighting that they're saying that we should have the right to discriminate based on sexual orientation because it is a life choice, not something that you're born with, which is ridiculous on its face. And so why would we expect Megan Rapinoe or her teammates, for that matter, who have been discriminated against as women, who have been discriminated against as LGBTQ plus people, to then, participate in patriotic activities where their country is basically working against them?
Did you just slam your pen down angrily or passionately, or did you
I
open
love
up
the passion.
No,
I threw my pen down, but I wasn't really doing it out of anger. But
you were fired up about it. You believe in this kind of stuff. Is Stan Van Gundy is a little bit pent up? Okay. Can I just say it? You're repressed in this regard publicly. Stan's got things he wants to say. Sports be damned. And I don't love the fact that the only way that we enter into these discussions is with Megan Rapinoe as a shield for us. that the only way that we can talk about this stuff, what is happening in this country at Alabama, is when the booster removes $21 million, or the school gives back $21 million for the abortion law. Did you see this story? Did you see this story, Stan?
I didn't see that one.
Okay, so this is what happened.
Whoa!
Oh my God!
Unbelievable. Hold that thought, Dano. Forever. Hold up. A couple AAA batteries, some weird envelopes in here. Hold on. There you go.
You guys.
What happened? I mean,
No, you guys got to be careful with this thing, though, because we got executives coming into town and complaining about, we want to hear Dan be Dan, and this thing keeps getting in the way.
If you say so.
we don't control this. I mean, we had control. We want to hear Dan be Dan, but I said
Wait.
hold the thought.
So the bosses told you that, and you thought what they wanted was politics. Yeah. All right, cool. Good to know.
How often do you look at your phone every day?
I must pick how much. Man,
Maybe we should ask how often don't we look at our phone?
It is
I can tell you right now, I've
America's greatest ignored addiction. Like, it is a country addicted to these things. Like, you cannot stop looking into your phone. I have to wonder if the people who make smartphones are so smart that they absolutely have addictive tendencies they can snap into people's brain the way that the casinos can.
I can tell you exactly how long I was on my phone. Yesterday, my screen was on for 9 hours and 32 minutes.
Man.
And it was off for 8 minutes.
I mean, geez, but I think the question was how many times a day do you look at it?
No, it's on when I'm
It's
looking
got to
at
be over 1,000, doesn't it?
Well, I can tell you the average. A recent study was done where it's 80 times per day. Americans are looking at their phones 80 times
Just
per day.
80?
Yeah.
I was going to say, that seems low.
Nonsense.
That can't be right. Just 80?
Well, if you're looking at it for like 2 hours, one of those 80 times.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I just thought of a good invention. You could put a weight on your phone. That way you get some workouts in as you're lifting.
It's not bad.
Ocean.
1,000 reps a day.
What happened, Skeptical Billy? What happened? You're not buying
I
the,
like
the
it. It's
Chris
a
Cody
try,
business
yeah.
plan?
Yeah.
Mike, you look better than Ronaldo with your shirt off.
This is the Dan Lebatard Show on ESPN Radio.
Billy's sitting here just obsessed with the Marlins.
Yeah.
Chris doesn't actually care about the Heat. Roy, some way that's inexplicable, is doing nothing but watching NHL.
Well, he's got 3 teams.
Right, the 3 teams. He's got to follow the 3 non-playoff teams he's got in the NHL.
None of them are playing, by the way.
By the way, he has 4 teams now because Vegas. So he's got a playoff team.
Yeah, 2 each.
Congrats, man.
Thank you.
The odds of having 3 teams in the NHL
Right.
be your favorite teams and none of them making the playoffs. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Lebatard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. The Patriots are filing tampering charges against the Texans over the attempted general manager of Nick Caserio. The attempted what? Hiring of general manager Nick Caserio?
I don't know. You're the one reading.
Okay. Oh, that word's not in there. That's why I didn't read it. I'm not blaming anyone.
That is $2.
What? I didn't blame anyone. I was just pointing something out. Just asking questions, man. Houston fired former GM Brian Gaines the night after the Patriots Super Bowl ring ceremony at Robert Kraft's house. I mean the Patriots, man.
Give me the $2. Don't try and distract from the fact that
I
the
thought you
$2
forgot.
are
That's
owed.
too bad. Let me see if I have some money. Oh, man. You notice I do that, huh?
Mike, what's the IOU up to?
He's got a lot of cash.
What do you mean they got a
He's
lot of cash? You got
of
$1.
cash. No, you were sifting through several bills.
Oh, this 20 is not mine.
All right, give me 2.
I have 1, so
Okay.
I owe
It's
you
not
1.
yours.
I'm holding it for a friend. I always do.
Mike, I need you to tally up the IOU situation because I think he's over $100 already.
No, that's not. Dan, there is no way I'm over $100. Are you kidding me? There is no way. No
Last
way.
check, you were at 81.
Who'd you kill? Didn't you kill somebody for $50? Didn't you kill somebody accidentally? No, you laugh, Stan, but I think one of the fines is, actually, the most imposing fine around here is $50 if you accidentally kill somebody who's not dead while talking on the radio.
Yeah, didn't you kill Lute Olson, Stugotz?
I think it was Lute Olson that you killed after I killed Frank Layden. I killed Frank Layden, and then you killed Lute Olson. That's exactly what happened.
Wait, Lute Olson, though?
I think that's right.
Am I about to do it again? Because
Are you going to get another $50 fine?
I do.
No, he is not gone.
Check. It's 84. What? It's got 9 lives. Lute. Cat. Caesars Sportsbook has announced that the Tampa Bay Lightning are the favorites to win next season's Stanley Cup at 5-1 odds. The Vegas Golden Knights follow at 9-1, then the Boston Bruins and Maple Leafs at 12-1. Blues not anywhere there. And finally, Sophie Turner, the 23-year-old starlet who played Sansa Stark on Game of Thrones, says she once tried to get Matthew Perry to ask her out. Blink security cameras are a Dad's Day no-brainer. Blink motion-activated cameras are wire-free. They set up in minutes, and Blink indoor cameras are 20% off through Father's Day. Go to blinkprotect.com/Dan. Blink cameras are also available on Amazon and at Best Buy. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
I get so sad when I hear the name Matthew Perry. It's not unlike when I hear the name Artie Lang. You've seen the photos of Artie Lang, the mug shots where he doesn't seem to have a nose because his addiction has gotten a hold of him.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Perry has had some public problems and some private problems, but every time I hear his name, I like sink because he was at the height of having it all and whatever the success measurements are in entertainment with the show Friends, and he never seemed happy at any point during it because of his troubles with addiction. And then afterward, I can't even imagine what it is to come out after Friends with all the money in the world and addiction problems, and you don't know where you're going to take your next step. And then has Matthew Perry made anything
He was
recently?
just bedridden for 3 months because he had a gastrointestinal perforation. It was a very serious illness. He almost died.
Is Matthew Perry, has he made anything recently? And forgive my ignorance on this because I just heard his name and I just reacted to it.
We had him on recently. He was promoting a new TV show. It
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
last long.
Yeah,
Right.
The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, lasted 2 seasons.
Mhm.
Yeah. You don't always have to go with the first thought in your mind when you hear Matthew Perry.
Well, but it doesn't make you guys sad? Nothing about the Matthew Perry situation? That's not something that you think about? There's
Matthew Perry.
Matthew Perry.
Yes.
Not the talented
The
Mr.
talented
Roto.
Mr. Roto's doing just fine. So.
Stan Van Gundy is in with us as he is throughout the basketball season.
Did you see the talented Mr. Roto now that the spoiler embargo has been lifted? Matthew Perry in the latest Avengers movie? That was a shock. Are you jealous?
He was in it?
He was in it.
Get out of here.
He was in a flashback because there's
Nice.
time hopping that happens in the movie, and he shared a scene with Robert Downey Jr.
Really?
Yeah.
How? Why?
Dude, Matthew
Why not
Perry,
me?
Matthew Perry's in these leagues with Jay-Z. Matthew Perry's on an empire, dude.
Yes, I'm jealous.
Stan, I wanted to ask you, Kyrie Irving switched agents, and man, would it have been great if he had gone to Clutch. That would have been wonderful. But he went to Rock Nation. Rock Nation is Jay-Z. Is it Brooklyn? Does that mean Brooklyn? Like, does taking that as an agency suggest Brooklyn in any way to anyone? Hint at it?
Before Stan answers the question, I can give a little bit more information on this. Yeah, everyone, Jay-Z rocks Brooklyn. He was a part of the ownership group initially. Had to dissolve his ownership.
A
stake in that.
minority owner who was a minority and an owner, and therefore it was okay to call him a minority owner.
But Michael Yormark runs Rock Nation, or a division of Rock Nation Sports, and his twin brother, Brett Yormark, runs the business operations of the Brooklyn Nets.
Those guys.
The Yormarks.
Oh, the
Yormarks. Those guys got, how do I say this? Slickness. They've got corporate slickness. Stan, what did you make of Kyrie Irving changing agents?
Well, I certainly think I don't think it's definitive, but it's a good sign for Brooklyn. I was disappointed because the agent he had, Jeff Wexler, who's a Miami guy, is one of the really good guys in the business and had, really sort of navigated the whole getting Kyrie out of Cleveland, which he wanted. That took a lot of doing and had been really good for Kyrie. So I was disappointed for him. And I do think it looks good for Brooklyn.
Rock also has KD. I mean, this whole thing is coming together. The Knicks aren't.
The agents have been running the league for a while, right, Stan, in this regard? The agents and the players. And Rich Paul he is escalating things by pressing the gas on, no, it's not just going to be player empowerment. We are going to take back some of the power, even if we wreck a franchise doing it. Rich Paul is still out there giving interviews, and you do not see this. This doesn't happen very often. And the league sort of shifted. Phil Jackson called these guys posse. Phil Jackson's gone, evaporated. He's no longer around. That was sort of out of touch wording and get out of here. You're no longer in charge. Now these guys are in charge, and they're not doing it the way the people before them did it. They will nuke a team, and they will what just happened there? What'd you drop, Stan?
No, nothing. A paper moved. I hit it, I guess, with my hand.
Loud piece of paper.
Yeah, well, that's all it was. So,
what are your thoughts as someone who was an executive in the league and has dealt with agents on the hypothesis that agents run this league now?
It's not agents; it's players, right? I mean, the agents work for the players, and all the agents are doing is trying to carry out the wishes of their players and doing whatever they have to do that. That's what Rich Paul is doing. That's his job. That's what he's supposed to do. And part of that involves him being willing to be the bad guy in this whole thing. So, nobody wants to go on the radio or go on TV and rip Anthony Davis. So, they get on and they rip Rich Paul. All Rich Paul's doing is working for Anthony Davis and toward the goals that Anthony Davis wants. And so I don't really understand why people want to vilify the agents. To me, and if they're not, as long as they're not dishonest, or doing things illegal, then what they're doing is part of their job. And if anybody has a problem with it, which I don't, but if anybody has a problem with it, their problem should be with the players.
What did you think of the quotes in the Sports Illustrated story where Rich Paul is saying, look, the Lakers are Jennifer Lopez, and he was saying, and this part didn't ring true in any way, he was saying, look, I'm not doing this for LeBron James. I'm doing this for Anthony Davis. He was saying all the things about Lakers.
I think that's true. I don't know why you don't think that rings true. I think Rich Paul, just my impression of him and my dealings with him, I think Rich Paul is a person of integrity. And I do not think Rich Paul would sell out one client to help LeBron James. I think he might use LeBron James's presence to help another client, but he's never going to harm one client for the benefit of another. I don't buy that.
I would say this. It is not just a perceived conflict of interest. It's an obvious conflict of interest.
Why? I don't get why it's a conflict of interest.
LeBron owns the agency.
I'll give you an example that involves the Miami Heat, okay, and the late Henry Thomas. There was when LeBron left the Miami Heat, Chris Bosh had leverage over everybody, and he got a max deal. And there wasn't money left for Dwayne Wade, also a Henry Thomas client. And it ended up wrecking the relationship for a long time with Wade because, and he, for some reason, he never blamed his agent. He didn't blame Chris Bosh. And he didn't blame LeBron James. But what ended up happening in that situation is his agent got Chris Bosh max money, and it harmed Dwayne Wade. That's how it's a conflict of interest.
No, it's not a conflict of interest unless you're saying that an agent should only represent one player in the league and no more, because all he did was try to get the best contract he could for Chris Bosh. He should not sell out Chris Bosh to help Dwayne Wade, and it's not his responsibility to make sure that the relationships between the Miami Heat and Dwayne Wade are preserved. That's not up to the agent. The agent is simply supposed to help his clients get what they want. The same thing your agent helps you do,
Stan,
or my agent helps me do.
But Sam, one of your clients is the owner of the agency. That makes it a little tricky.
That's another thing. But his
agent. Whoa! LeBron James does not own the agency. Here's the thing. Here's the problem I have is, and especially with the Rich Paul vilification. okay? It is really right there. What people are really saying is Rich isn't smart enough to do this on his own. LeBron, being a great player, is propping him up. It's disrespectful. Rich Paul does a good job. In my dealings, Rich Paul deals with people honestly, even if you don't like what he's saying. And I had a situation where I didn't necessarily like what he's saying. He's honest. He works for his client. He's doing his job. If the teams don't like it, it's because they don't have the same goals Rich Paul has. The teams want things to work best for them. That's not the agent, any agent's job. The agent's job is to make it work for their client. I think Rich does a great job. I think that's why people gravitate to him. And I think he's doing what he is supposed to do within his job description.
Holy bleep.
Man, someone really wants that Lakers.
So badly. So badly. He wants to coach Anthony Davis and LeBron.
Yeah.
Pushing Vogel
That's
out
right.
the door.
And
You guys are absolutely ridiculous.
I thought you
No, but
liked Frank.
Really, here's the problem, though, and I really have this. So we didn't have this kind of vilification of agents, and still don't, when it's the guys that have been around a long time, most of them older white guys, that we didn't have a problem. Those guys weren't vilified. They were just doing their job. I don't care if it was Arn Tellem or David Falk or all of that, right? But now we get a young, not just a black guy, but a young black guy, and all of a sudden we're going to vilify him, and he's the reason for all of the problems in the NBA. That's a bunch of crap. Okay, Rich Paul's doing his job. If the teams don't like it, that's their problem. He doesn't have the same goals that they do. It was not his job to keep the New Orleans Pelicans together or to keep them going. Anthony Davis came to him and said, I want out of here. Rich Paul developed the strategy and tried to carry it out to the point of being willing to be the bad guy in what goes on.
Excellent.
Show me the money.
David Falk and Scott Boras were vilified. Can you do me the favor, Chris Cody, of looking up what Tony Kornheiser's nickname was for David Falk? Because he was the first basketball agent that was vilified. But I understand the general point you're making.
No, but your point is good because David Falk was vilified. You're right.
But
not to this level, though. I mean, you would think Rich Paul's running the NBA.
Well, it does say Kingmaker, and I don't know whether it's on the cover of Sports
Oh.
Illustrated, but the article is written by S.L. Price, one of the best magazine writers in sports that there's ever been, and it's Kingmaker is the title. So I mean, we're doing that.
Well, who made him the Kingmaker? I mean, he's got clients who are really good. They're the Kingmakers. The players drive this. I don't know why people want to blame it on the agents. Anthony Davis wanted out of New Orleans. Anthony Davis might have wanted to go to the Lakers. You know, I mean, the players want it. The agents try to carry it out. And if you think the agent is like manipulating Anthony Davis or LeBron James or Kevin Durant or anybody else, that's disrespectful to the players. Like, they're not smart enough to do this. It is what it is. The agents work for the players. Their job is to get the players what they want. Dan, you've told me that about the job of agents, right? That's their job.
Yeah, I'm just
so
trying to
why
get
are
you
they
riled
wrong
up.
all of a sudden because they do it? Because people just don't like what it means for their team, or they don't like the players having the power, or they don't like the players having the power, but they don't want to blame the players, so they're going to find the agent. There's nothing being done wrong here. Nothing.
The bird of prey.
Oh, that's what he used to call him. Tony Kornheiser used to call David Falk the bird of prey. Because go ahead, F-A-L-K. Go ahead and look it up, image search it. You will see he looks like a bird of prey. Absolutely. You agree, correct, Stan?
No, I don't. I'm not going to make fun of the way somebody looks, especially when you look the way I do.
Thanks for the help on spelling of Falk.
Well, I had to be careful because I thought people might have heard something different. Casper, people, tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, it's the middle of the night. You're tossing and turning, not sleeping, drenched, covered in sweat. It's not the AC. No, it's not. It's your heat-trapping mattress. The Casper mattress combines 4 layers of pressure-relieving foams for all-night comfort. Plus, breathable foams are designed to keep you cool all night, all summer long. Sleep cool and comfortable every night. Get a Casper. Try yours for 100 nights with Free shipping and returns. Go to Casper.com. Use code STU for $100 towards the purchase of select mattresses. That's Casper.com, code STU. Additional terms and conditions apply. See Casper.com/terms.
This is LeBron James.
Stan, you are saying this is a lot harder than people think. I thought you made a good point.
There it is.
Yeah, you cracked that open, Stan.
What just happened?
did.
That a boy.
Yeah, yeah.
ASMR,
He's getting
Mike.
ready for his nuggets.
ASMR, baby.
Yeah, that a boy.
Yeah. Give me a nice little after a sip.
That was good.
Great. If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show, plus our Miami-only hour and our Best of Podcast on demand in the ESPN app, and subscribe to the Le Batard and Friends Podcast Network featuring South Beach Sessions, Stupidity, and Mystery Crate. New episodes every week. Please rate and subscribe. It's all available in the More tab of the ESPN app.
Big fun game tonight that could mean the conclusion of the NBA season. One of the things overlooked by the amazing thing that Golden State did in Game 5 is, good God, did Golden State have to shoot well? And good God, did Toronto have to shoot poorly from 3 to get Golden State a 1-point victory? Like, if you think that that's going to continue the next time they go to Toronto, like that was the amount of threes. They took 42 and they made 20.
Right. They were 20 of 42, and Toronto was 8 of 32. So I mean,
and to win by 1, Stan, like one of the things obscured by down 3-2 with Mike, their favorite tonight, right? Golden State's a favorite tonight. Are they still a favorite to win the series?
2.5-point favorite, even though the Toronto Raptors, I believe, are 8-0 in these playoffs when Mark Davis is the head official.
Are they? Wow, that was going deep inside the numbers there. Entertainment purposes only.
I think the Raptors are still a small favorite to win the series, though.
To win, so because everything's pointing to, Stan, the idea. I can't believe that we're headed toward a place where, especially if Draymond gets suspended tonight, where this Golden State team is going to be in a Game 7 against Toronto, against the Toronto Raptors, the lovable little underdog.
Yeah, well, now it's the Warriors for the first time as an underdog, and it's an interesting situation for them to be in. I think in some respect it certainly takes the pressure off. That place is going to be absolutely crazy tonight. I mean, not only the normal stuff of being in the finals, then you add Kevin Durant's injury after trying to come back for his teammates, and then you add the last game in the arena. I mean, that place, NBA arenas are always loud, and certainly in this series, they both have great fan bases, but tonight's going to be over the top. It's going to be crazy in there.
You seem to think that the series is over, like Toronto.
What I believe is that Toronto has proven itself to be better, and that Golden State needed 2 really bad shooting games from Toronto to win the 2 games that they've won. And it's hard to continue to expect. Like what you saw the last time Toronto went to Golden State.
Sure.
It's hard to continue to expect Golden State to be able to pull things out when they keep getting hurt.
But I would say that if they win tonight's game, and I expect them to win tonight's game because I'm with Stan, I'd find it hard to believe they're not going to win a single home game here in the NBA Finals. Then you're in a 1-game scenario. You still have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I mean, those 2 are hot for a single game. You win yourself another title.
Yeah, look, I mean, the thing is, it is possible. With those guys, it's always possible. I mean, they can have 2 more games shooting the ball like that, and if Toronto's not making shots, yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. Look, I'm with Dan all the way. I think it's impossible to watch these first 5 games and not think that Toronto is the better team right now, but it doesn't mean that better team is automatically going to win. If the Warriors win, it's going to be the way we've seen them win these 2 games. They're going to be close games where they have to shoot extremely well, and Toronto's really got to miss some good shots. So it's possible, but that's what's going to happen.
Hey, this is Josh McRoberts, and you're listening to the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Well, a tweeter has written in that Stan Van Gundy should be excommunicated because of his opinion that The Replacements was a terrible movie.
I mean,
that seems extreme.
I don't know.
Excommunicated.
Well, I don't know what that word means, is what I meant. You can't communicate? I mean, have I been excommunicated or?
Stan, I saw some numbers finally on the Carson Wentz contract. What would you guys say was the general appraisal, the general belief? Carson Wentz has been hurt a bunch, and he signed for a little over $100 million.
I heard a lot of praise for the Eagles signing of Carson Wentz.
But praise because what? Because they were getting value, because that was a prudent contract to give?
Praise because they were getting value, and also keep in mind, although he's been through some injuries since, 2 years ago, he was headed down a path where he was going to be the league MVP.
Yes.
But what I would say to you guys is this, because I'm surprised now that Field Yates has reported the numbers, I'm surprised by the way this stuff escalates, where he gets his $16 million signing bonus, but again, he's hurt and he's a bit unproven. Even though he was he had great success for a third-year quarterback.
Dan, that year 2 years ago was exceptional.
I know.
I mean,
it was, but we did see him last year, and he wasn't the same quarterback.
And that offensive line is the best I've ever seen. You know, them and the Cowboys the last few years. That offensive line 2 years ago made Nick Foles a Super Bowl MVP and beat the Patriots with their backup quarterback. Like that wasn't. I'm not sure that was an accurate assessment of that. A lot of quarterbacks could have done that with that offensive line play. But the contract details that I found interesting are he gets the $16 million signing bonus, and then the first year, like they often do with these things for salary cap purposes, he'll make $720,000 this year. Next year, it'll be $9 million. Year after that, 14, 20, 23, and then a $30 million team option. And when I looked at this, I wondered to myself, I'm not sure why Carson Wentz agreed to these terms. Like, if you're going to backload it that much and you're going to make the team option $30 million in the 6th year while you're sitting there waiting to see if he's going to prove himself after injury, I thought Philadelphia did great to get him signed for that. I'm surprised that he would sign a contract that would be so backloaded that it would give the team the option at $30 million 6 years from now.
I guess it is pretty surprising. It all has to do with the injuries, though. It's not performance. I mean, the last 2 years, he's had 54 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. That's pretty amazing.
You understand what I'm asking you? I'm asking you,
yeah.
why did Carson Wentz agree to these terms?
Injuries, though. I get the $16 million signing bonus, as you pointed out, but it has to be injury-related.
But doesn't the average quarterback in the NFL make $20 million a season? Like, isn't that the going rate for one season of average quarterback play?
What's the guaranteed money on that? Because maybe he made some concessions because they made some guaranteed money, and there's always the option to restructure the contract, which is why primarily you see a lot of backloaded contracts at that position. I think Tom Brady's restructured his deal every year for the last 15 years.
Yes, he really has, because he's not the big earner in his family.
Sounds like Carson Wentz needs Rich Paul.
Oh, there he is.
Oh,
there he is. Stan Van Gundy again, still spicy about the agent.
No, I am. But listen, so now, Dan, I agree with you. Why did he agree to those terms? But if you have an agent that's really aggressive, whether it's Rich Paul or, as you pointed out, Scott Boras, David Falk or whatever, then those guys are vilified. I mean, where's the line here where it's okay for an agent to be aggressive for his player to get a contract? Where's the line?
And considering how much Carson struggled comparative to before the ACL injury, getting some long-term security in a contract such that it is probably not bad advice, because he wasn't the same guy.
Well, let me ask you this as it relates to Durant then, though. What do you do, Stan? Do you opt in for $31 million given the history of that injury on someone of that size? Or do you, get up that 3 NBA teams would be willing to offer him the max, even if he sits out next season? What's the smarter play for Durant? Is it to opt in for a year in rehab, or is it just take the guaranteed money?
Well, why would you opt in for a year? That I don't get. If he opts in for a year, he's gonna play for what, $6.5 million less, or not play. He's gonna sit out and make $6.5 million.
No, he's gonna sit out and make $31 million next year.
Yeah, but why not sit out and make $37 million? Why would you take $6.5 million less? And when people will give you the full 4-year max now, including probably the Warriors. I mean, why would you do that? Why would you take less money right now and go into a more uncertain market the following year? I don't understand that thinking at all.
I'm with Stan. If you're going to sit and collect as much
sit
as you
for
can.
37.
Right.
I mean.
Yeah, by the way, with Wentz, it's $107.9 million in guarantees. $66 million fully guaranteed at signing. That's why he took the deal.
Yeah, but $66 million is fully
That's an
guaranteed.
NFL record, though, Dan.
Whoa. Is that the guaranteed money? No, Kirk Cousins' entire contract was...
Well, I'm getting this from CBS. The $128 million extension containing an NFL record $107.9 million in guarantees with $66 million fully guaranteed.
Yeah,
I don't get what that means.
I don't
What's the
either.
difference between guaranteed and fully guaranteed?
I'm not.
If it's not fully
It means it's
guaranteed,
an NFL
not
record.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
Okay, Guillermo, put it on the poll. If it's not fully guaranteed, is it guaranteed? At Le Batard Show. I'm with Stan on that one. I know he's cantankerous. I know Stan today has been bringing fire at every turn.
Oh, it's been his finest hour. But here's what I can tell you, Stan. I can tell you it's guaranteed, okay? Fully.
Well, then what's the $66 million figure?
It's an NFL record, Stan.
Okay, whatever.
I don't understand what you're saying.
I don't either.
Kirk Cousins signed an $84 million deal that was fully guaranteed. So, I mean, not the same amount of total, but I'm a little confused at the guaranteed and fully guaranteed thing, too.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. How is he reading that? Somebody explain that to us. Maybe it does make sense and we're just ignorant. But how can you say that he got $100 million guaranteed and then $66 million fully guaranteed?
A portion is guaranteed. Another portion is fully guaranteed. And again, just to give you some clarity, it's an NFL record.
Okay, that's all you've
I guarantee you that.
Stugotz wants a new boat. Time for some more ads.
Get yourself some very comfortable socks from Bombas. We've told you before, Bombas is making it very easy for you to support the people who support us, because who doesn't need socks? And they give socks to people who need socks as well based on your purchases. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, I love this company. I love the socks. Wearing them right now. Bombas are the most comfortable socks in the history of feet. Made from premium cotton, Bombas stay warm in the winter and cool in the summer. And every pair comes with a built-in blister tab, innovative arch support, stay-up technology, and a seamless toe. With many colors, patterns, lengths, and styles, Bombas look great in the gym, at the office, and out in the town. Bombas are what feet daydream about, and for every Bombas purchase you make, Bombas donates a pair to someone in need. So you buy the most comfortable socks in the history of socks, and what does Bombas do? They donate a pair of the most comfortable socks in the history of socks to someone in need. How about that? It's a great job by our friends at Bombas. Buy your Bombas at bombas.com/Dan today. And get 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/Dan for 20% off. Bombas.com/Dan.
Stay tuned. More than...
Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One N.A., member FDIC.
Stupidity has just dropped. What's on it, Stugotz? We've got Stupidity is out there for people who need a fix of the Stugotz virus.
We have the cast of Weekend Observations back again for part 2. It's a show I used to do on the weekends. Mike Gola Jr., Mikey C is the star of that show. Mikey A as well. Stanzik, Mina Kimes joins Mikey C for the most uncomfortable smoke break on the Bristol campus at the dumpster that I have ever heard. I mean, it was just cringeworthy. And Mina has been on that podcast, my podcast, more than I've been on my podcast.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
So Stupidity is out there. ESPN would like us to tell you that on ESPN Plus this weekend, Tyson Fury is going up against Tom Schwartz from accounting. Tom Schwartz. Tom Schwartz.
It's exciting to see Tyson Fury fighting.
Put it on the poll at Levitard Show. Are you scared to fight Tom Schwartz?
I can't believe we're watching one of the best fighters, pound for pound, in the world, in Tyson Fury, and on the same streaming platform that just acquired the rights for Copa America, all for the low price of $4.99 a month.
I would seek out a Tom Schwartz to fight. I mean,
put that on the poll as well. At Levitard Show, would you seek out someone named Tom Schwartz to fight, even though you're not a fighter? Let's update the polls at Levitard Show. At Levitard Show, Instagram and Twitter. What do we have?
The Twitter poll is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Dollar Shave Club delivers the products you use to look, feel, and smell your best right to your door. Plus, with their handsome discount, the more you buy, the more you save. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/Dan for a special offer. Again, at Levitard Show on Twitter. How do you prefer your rice? You had two choices here, separate or in clumps.
Stan, how do you it's not sticky rice. When you get white rice, do you prefer all of the I don't know, what are they, kernels, grains of rice? Do you wish for them to be together or apart?
Apart.
54% of the audience said separate. Who likes rice in clumps? It's weird. I'm sorry, Mike. It's weird.
Entire regions of the world so myopic.
Okay. Is it chivalrous to, did I say that right?
Yes.
To pick up food off the floor that your wife dropped and put it back on her plate?
Mike did that yesterday. He says it's chivalrous. There was a clump of rice. He just picked it up off the floor and put it back on her plate.
I think the rice fell out of the carton and held form right to the floor.
That's
Sticky
right.
rice.
That's right. That's correct.
54% of the audience said no.
It was close.
Bongos at Heat games. Great for setting the tone or awful?
What do you think, Stan? What would be your vote here?
What do you think?
Awful.
70% said awful. Better two words in sports, Game 7 or Super Bowl? 69% of the audience said Game 7.
Nice. Yeah, the Super Bowl last year was
better than the Super Bowl.
Yeah, best two words in sports, Game 7.
You know
man.
why? I think because in a 7-game series, the rivalry really starts to heat up. I mean, it's even though they're both just 1-game things. I mean, they've been going back and forth at it for 6 games, and bad feelings crop up and everything else. I think that's probably the reason.
Dan, wait until you hear our Super Bowl idea. Not enough time
So
today,
great.
but we'll get to it next week.
Not today.
But not today.
Is it a 3-game series?
No.
No.
Not today.
No.
Not today.
No.
At Levitard
We're changing
Show,
the game. I mean,
Instagram and Twitter.
Will Sylvester Stallone still be making Rambo movies 44 years after his death? Last blood.
Did you actually clap your hands in delight, Stan? That's a great question.
Really
I mean, how many years past his death are we already?
Wow, Stan.
Whoa.
Stan.
Oh,
Stan,
man.
what is happening with you today? You are taking everybody out.
Yeah. This is the same Sam Van Gundy that won't talk about anybody's looks.
That's right. He wouldn't call David Falk a bird of prey, but he was just fine telling you Sylvester Stallone's corpse is still standing in front of us and living. Unbelievable.
94% of the audience said yes. He'll still be doing it.
44
He
years.
really loves the question.
He really does. 44 years after his death.
If it's not fully guaranteed, is it guaranteed?
It's a great question, man.
88% of the audience said no. Would you seek out someone named Tom Schwartz for a fight?
Early voting.
Early votes, Dad. 64% of the audience said yes.
Let's get final thoughts here. Stan Van Gundy, Game 6. Season end tonight?
No, I think the Warriors win tonight in a close one, and Toronto wins Game 7.
How close? Like 2.5 points close?
Yeah, I think it's within a possession. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Good.
Wow.
Good call.
So you've got a
Nice.
great
Yes.
game tonight, Stan. Where do you come up with that? Why such a specific? Well,
because I
go
think
either
the
way, it
Warriors.
feels like.
Okay,
I mean.
listen. Here's the thinking. Number one, at the start of the series, I took Toronto in 7, so I want it to get there. Number two, the only way the Warriors are going to win, in my mind, is in a close game, and so there we are.
Okay, fair enough.
Feels like a coin toss, but whatever.
Sounded like there might have been more to that and had an abrupt end, but cool. 2.5. Raps.
All right, got it.
Well thought out there. Another close game. That's very exciting, Stan. Thank you for sharing that with us. I appreciate that prediction. You're promising us a good game. You are on fire today, buddy. You
great.
Unbelievable. I'm sad we have to end the show. All right, go take get in a hot tub or something because you earned it today.
Thank you.
He was on fire.
Hot tub.
We will talk to you mañana. This was the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.